You know the one attribute we are born with and is essential for change, yet it rarely gets talked about, and worse, it often is misunderstood and rarely practiced by leaders. It's what makes all change possible. Curiosity. The more I practice curiosity and the more I work with leaders to help them use curiosity to build readiness when leading change, the more I realize it's not just a key attribute of change leadership, it's an essential element for healthy and sustainable change. Hi, I'm Dr. Marie Turner, President of Turner Change Management and creator of the Readiness Mindset. In today's video, I want to explore the 8th and final attribute in this leadership series that all executive leaders demonstrate in order to successfully create a change-ready organization. How curious are you on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm not curious at all, and 10 being I am constantly asking questions, exploring situations from a different perspective? Put your answer in the comment section below. In a survey of over 500 CEOs to find the essential characteristic for success, they found it was curiosity, specifically applied curiosity. The most successful CEOs probed and asked questions. And then they processed that information not to prove that they were right or validate their assumptions and beliefs, but to explore new ways of looking at the situation, to create new insights and new opportunities within the organization for innovation and thought. I've talked before in a previous video about the importance of creating collective intelligence in your organization and the power it has to drive change. Curiosity is a key component of that. I'll put the link for the collective intelligence video in the notes section of this video. What does it mean then to be a curious leader? When you're curious, you're interested in looking at a situation from multiple perspectives. You ask questions. You challenge your own beliefs and assumptions. You suspend your judgments. You inquire about what might be contributing to the current environment. You're less interested in proving that you're right and more interested in learning something you didn't know, gaining new insights and new information. If something is different, then you're willing to ask why or how things could be different. Your interest is in expanding that base of knowledge. And that's what makes curiosity such a powerful tool for enabling change. It can open us up to the possibility of change without triggering our stress response. And so for the people impacted by the change, it can, when they approach change with you, with a sense of curiosity, it can reduce the sense of uncertainty and the stress that is often associated with change, and thus starting to build early and easier levels of readiness within your organization. Practicing curiosity can also reduce frustration and conflicts that can arise for you as a leader or for your employees, because it's really hard to be frustrated when you're curious about what's happening. It's difficult to be frustrated and inquisitive at the same time. Curiosity also has a direct impact on your organization's performance in really 2 key areas: creativity and trust. One study found that when leaders were practicing curiosity, when it was alive and active within the organization, that we tend to think more deeply, more rationally about decisions. And as a result, we generate more creative solutions. That same study found that leaders who were practicing curiosity, who asked more questions, and demonstrated a genuine interest in understanding what was happening were more respected, and they inspired the trust of their employees. As a result, employees were more willing to engage and create collaborative working relationships. Practicing curiosity during change will enable you and your employees to navigate that change process with a greater sense of confidence, control, and balance as you explore what the possibilities are. That sense of ambiguity that comes with change can be managed with more stability for people to move forward and start to build early levels of readiness. How did you rate your curiosity at the beginning of this video? We're all born curious. Have a conversation with a young child, and it's pretty obvious the level of curiosity they have. I still recall a very enlightening conversation I had with a 5-year-old about a necklace I was wearing. The kinds of questions that he asked and where the conversation led us to exploring and figuring out how gold was made, something I'd never really taken the time to understand. But that child's curiosity inspired my curiosity, and together we developed a whole new sense of knowledge and insight. And you can do the same in your organizations when you practice curiosity. But over time, our natural curiosity can be trampled and diminished. Maybe it's because as leaders, we're too concerned about being right or not being viewed as competent. We don't want to look like we don't know the answer or don't have an answer. And often we've been discouraged then from asking too many questions. A survey of 3,000 employees found only about 24% reported feeling curious, and about 70% stated they felt real barriers to asking questions at work. When it comes to organizational change, I see similar barriers. I see two barriers that really inhibits curiosity. First is fear, and the second is a resistant mindset. Leaders fear their initiatives will be stalled, or they won't look like they know what they're doing, and people will doubt their competence. Employees fear being labeled as resistant to change, or not being seen as a team player if they ask too many questions or challenge the initiative in any way. What I see is that leaders who are working with a resistance mindset interpret questions, comments, and other types of inquiry about the decision as resistance to change. And that really inhibits the ability for your employees to get curious and to build the kind of readiness that is needed to enable changes to move forward comfortably and sustainably in your organization. And the reality is that those questions, that level of inquiry and curiosity is exactly what we need. When we encounter anything different, our natural response is to unconsciously assess the situation, and very often we react immediately. But as we move through the change process, and if we allow our conscious area, our executive center of the brain takes control of our response, then we ask questions. We naturally try to make sense of the event. We explore its impact, its fit, to determine our continued response to the new situation. It's one reason I teach and coach the executives I work with to celebrate when their employees ask questions, even when they're asking the tough questions, or the questions that seem to challenge the decision. And the reason for that is because those questions signal movement. They are an indicator that you have begun to build readiness for change. But whether your team continues to build that level of readiness, the readiness that's needed to sustain those new activities and behaviors, will depend on your interest and curiosity to explore their questions and their level of preparation or preparedness and why they are reacting and responding the way they are. Cultivating curiosity to create a change-ready organization requires two things. First, practice. We are not intuitively all there. We need to create a sense of what it means to be curious and practice asking questions and interpreting in various ways the reactions and responses that we're seeing to changes that are needed in our organizations. The second thing is we need to shift our expectation of what it means to lead change. We need to shift the expectation from you as the leader need to have the whole plan. You need to have all of the answers. I've helped so many leaders who, unbeknownst to them, were undermining their own change efforts because they believed that if they asked too many questions or if they allowed employees to explore the change further or they didn't know something, it would subvert their leadership and inhibit the change process. When the reality is the opposite. When you practice curiosity, you build those higher levels of trust and are viewed as more competent. That's not to say that you can be a blank slate, that you can just ask all the questions and not have a sense of direction for the changes that you're implementing. And we've talked before in other videos about the importance of having an intended outcome story and some of the key elements that need to be in place. To ask questions that contribute to developing insights and stimulate creative solution, you need to have a level of interest, expertise, and domain knowledge. You also need to trust your employees when they're asking those questions and trust what they know that may be different about the situation. If you missed the first 7 videos of this 8-part leadership series, you can catch up with them through the links in the show notes below. Thanks for watching this series on the 8 characteristics of successful change leaders. If you'd like help applying what you've discovered in these videos to create and support a change-ready organization where people are receptive to change, then reach out and let's have a conversation. Bye for now.